Father Michel Rodrigue and the Revelations of the Virgin Mary on the Destruction of Cities. Warm greetings to our dear brothers and sisters in the Catholic faith. It is with great joy that we welcome you back to our channel. We hope that your day will be deeply blessed by Christ and that this video will be a source of reflection and spirituality for you. We invite you to subscribe to the channel so that you can follow the latest and most relevant updates on topics of faith, prophecy, and Catholic spirituality. Today we'll be talking about the apparitions and prophecies of the Virgin Mary at La Salette, revealed on September 19, 1846, to two young shepherds, Mélanie Calvat and Maximin Giraud, in the small mountain village of La Salette, France. These apparitions, officially recognized by the Catholic Church, remain to this day a subject of deep reflection, interest, and theological debate. The messages transmitted by the Virgin Mary were full of severe warnings and prophetic predictions about the future of the world and the Church. They called directly for personal conversion, penance, and unwavering fidelity to the Catholic faith. Although some of its revelations are considered controversial, the La Salette prophecies offer a mixture of warnings and hope. They exhort the faithful to prepare themselves spiritually for times of great tribulation, marked by divine intervention and a call to renew their faith. Among the most striking points of these messages are the predictions of large-scale destruction. The Virgin Mary warned of devastating wars that could ravage humanity, accompanied by the destruction of major cities such as Paris and Marseille. In addition, she pointed to a serious crisis within the Catholic Church itself, which would face difficult times of division and spiritual challenges. These revelations, although alarming, carry with them a clear message: the urgent need for conversion and prayer. They invite us to reflect on the state of our soul, our daily attitudes, and our commitment to Christ's teachings. It is a call to not only look at the dangers that may come, but to focus on the strength of our faith and the promise of divine redemption. We thank you for being with us in this moment of reflection. May the messages of La Salette inspire us to live in constant prayer and spiritual vigilance, always trusting in God's mercy and love. The Virgin Mary, in her apparitions in the mountain village of La Salette, made predictions that continue to resonate deeply in the soul of the Catholic Church. Among her most striking warnings, she revealed that emblematic cities such as Paris and Marseille would be destroyed, marking a period of unprecedented turmoil. However, these warnings were not limited to physical destruction. The Blessed Mother also highlighted the moral and spiritual decadence that would befall humanity, calling for an urgent return to the path of justice, faith, and sincere conversion. The La Salette messages went beyond earthly events and touched the depths of the Catholic Church's life. The Virgin Mary warned of a serious internal crisis, mentioning the infiltration of enemies of the faith and the corruption that would undermine the Church from within. This period of spiritual darkness would be characterized by scandals, widespread loss of faith, and internal divisions. One of the most disturbing predictions pointed to the possibility that the papal throne itself would be occupied by the Antichrist, representing the height of corruption and an unparalleled spiritual crisis. However, in the midst of these gloomy warnings, the Virgin Mary also brought a message of hope. She spoke of the coming of a great monarch, a just and pious leader, who would have the mission of restoring order and faith in Europe. This monarch would be an instrument of purification and renewal, leading the Church back to its original glory. This long-awaited and exalted figure symbolizes the promise of divine mercy, representing the victory of good over evil and the restoration of the Church's divine mission. The prophecies of La Salette, however, did not go unscathed by scrutiny and controversy. Shortly after the apparitions, the messages were carefully analyzed and sealed by the ecclesiastical authorities, including the Archbishop of Grenoble. It was only in 1999 that a French priest rediscovered these revelations, rekindling the debate about their authenticity and content. While many interpret the prophecies as an urgent call to conversion and spiritual preparation, others remain skeptical, questioning their validity and meaning. Despite the doubts and controversies, the Vatican has officially recognized the La Salette messages, valuing them as a source of devotion and faith. These revelations continue to be a point of reflection for the faithful, reminding us of the constant need for spiritual vigilance, prayer, and trust in God's mercy. The Church officially recognizes the authenticity of the La Salette apparitions, highlighting the Virgin Mary's call to penance, conversion, and prayer. However, more delicate aspects of the messages, such as references to the Antichrist and future tribulations, remain the subject of intense theological debate. These revelations give rise to profound reflections on faith, the Church, and the future of humanity. One of the central themes of the La Salette prophecies is the warning about infiltration and corruption within the Church itself. The Virgin Mary warned that the enemy would act in a subtle and dangerous way, penetrating the heart of the Church to corrupt the faith and bring about a period of great spiritual darkness. This prophetic scenario points to difficult times, marked by scandals and crises of faith, which would bring confusion and division among the faithful. One of the most disturbing predictions was the possibility of the Antichrist occupying the papal throne. This would be an event of apocalyptic proportions, symbolizing the highest level of corruption and the loss of spiritual direction in the Church. This image reinforces the seriousness of the Virgin Mary's warnings, inviting the faithful to remain vigilant and firm in their faith in the face of such a threat. However, even in the midst of these gloomy predictions, the La Salette messages also brought hope. The Virgin Mary spoke of the arrival of a great monarch, a leader chosen by God, destined to guide the Church and God's people through the darkness. This monarch would be a figure of justice, piety, and divine leadership, restoring order, peace, and faith. He would symbolize divine mercy and the triumph of good over evil, leading humanity into a new era of spiritual renewal. The prophecies of La Salette were not only warnings about future dangers, but also spiritual guidelines for facing the challenges that lay ahead. The Virgin Mary's insistence on penance, conversion, and prayer reinforces the need for the faithful to remain firm in their faith and prepared for times of trial. Her message remains relevant, especially at a time when many are facing crises of faith and the Church is dealing with internal and external criticism. More than warnings, the message of La Salette is an invitation to personal and collective renewal. The Virgin Mary calls the faithful to return to a purer and more sincere faith based on personal conversion, commitment to prayer, and living the fundamental values of Christianity. This call resonates strongly, challenging every Christian to reflect on their own faith, the current state of the Church, and preparation for the spiritual challenges ahead. Thus, the prophecies of La Salette remain a beacon of guidance and hope, reminding us that even in the darkest times, the light of faith and divine mercy will always shine for those who trust in God and follow His ways. The La Salette prophecies continue to be fertile ground for wide-ranging theological reflections, addressing the complex interplay between the nature of divine revelations and the Church's mission to discern and interpret such messages. The treatment of these revelations by ecclesiastical authorities, including their initial sealing and subsequent rediscovery, has raised profound questions about the transparency and interpretation of so-called private revelations. This debate remains crucial in a context where new apparitions and messages continue to emerge, challenging the Church to balance prudence and faith in the discernment process. The messages transmitted by the Virgin Mary at La Salette offer a profound vision of the future of the Catholic Church and the world. Despite the alarming tone of many of the warnings, including devastating wars, widespread destruction, and corruption within the Church itself, these revelations are not without hope. The promise of the arrival of a great monarch, a symbolic figure of divine intervention, brings with it a vision of spiritual renewal and the restoration of order and faith. This pious leader would be an instrument of divine mercy, guiding the faithful along a path of redemption and peace. Central to the prophecies of La Salette is the call to penance, conversion, and prayer. The Virgin Mary urged the faithful to prepare themselves for the tribulations to come, facing the challenges ahead with courage and faith. While the warnings about internal corruption and spiritual crises are deeply disturbing, they also serve as an urgent call to personal reflection and renewal of Christian life. The La Salette messages not only warn of imminent dangers, but also invite concrete and spiritual action. They remind us that even in times of darkness, divine mercy remains accessible to those who choose the path of faith and obedience to Christ's teachings. The message is clear. Perseverance in faith, even in the face of adversity, is fundamental for redemption and spiritual restoration. Today, the La Salette messages continue to inspire both reflection and action, calling Christians to deepen their relationship with God and strengthen their faith. They highlight the need to return to a life of sincere prayer, genuine conversion, and commitment to fundamental Christian values. The vision of hope presented by the Virgin Mary reinforces the certainty that despite the tribulations, the final triumph of good is inevitable, sustained by the promise of divine renewal and God's mercy. Thus, the prophecies of La Salette remain, a timeless reminder that unshakable faith is the key to facing adversity, and that true renewal begins in the heart of each believer, guiding us collectively towards a stronger church deeply rooted in the divine mission. Thank you for watching this video. Leave your like and subscribe to the Living Hope channel on YouTube. Activate notifications by clicking on the bell to receive other publications.